Hi everyone, and welcome back for another episode to Gloucester Canary Australia. Yes, this is the final episode for season 2. I hope you guys enjoy the show. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me on the channel. Yes, this is season 2, episode 15, and like I've said, it's a final episode for season 2. Now, many have asked me, will there be a season 3? Most likely there will be, and it will be kicking off in January next year. But from between now and then, I will be posting some updates with my birds and my young and things like that. I'll be also giving some little handy tips along the way. And on the final episode, one of the main topics will always be preparing for the breeding season and little handy tips and things like that. Now, it might not work for everybody, but this is what works for me. Many of you breeders are quite experienced and been doing your own methods for years, but this is what I do, and this is what works. Okay, now this year's breeding season, I will be putting about 15 pairs of Gloucesters and 4 pairs of Crestbred, and I'll see how the Crestbred go. I thought I'll introduce something different in my bird room this breeding season. Now, let's talk about the club rings. Now, for this breeding season, for 2025, the rings are black. So, like I've said, in season 1, when we're talking about the rings, there's a 6-year cycle of 6 rings that are all different colors. So, you've got the black, you got the green, you got the purple. Then you got the gold, and then you got the blue and the red. So this year is black, and to help identify the bird, if you're after a young bird, this is more for the beginners and people that just want to get a couple of young birds in an aviary or a cage. Always look for the year of the ring. So I should say 2025. Then we'll have a serial number that identifies the bird. And then it also has the initials of the club. So with the Gloucester Club of Victoria, you'll be looking at, for the initials, GCV. Then you've got the year of the ring, and then you've got the serial number of the bird. Most people, they talk about, preparing for their breeding season. You got to give vitamins and nutrition and protein and all sorts, which is great. But one of the most important things is what you need is the lighting. Now, you might give your birds a lot of nutrition and good food, but if the lighting isn't right, you're not going to have a very good result. So, so if you notice sometimes, you go into your bird room and it does look a little bit dull and you seem to turn on your light, you'll find that the birds will be more active and more chirpy, and and that's what you want. So I usually have, like, I run my lights sometimes if needed on a bit of a dull day, but the lighting is very, very important. Now, I have something that was made for me for one of the members of the Gloucester Club of Victoria, was this lovely little wooden tool. So you might ask me, what is it and what do you use it for? Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know what you call it, but what this is used for, so you know, you got your nest pan, and sometimes the nesting materials aren't so neat, and you know, some hens, they can make a real, like, top nest, but some, they're a little bit messy. So what this does, this helps to, like, you put it in the nest and it helps to shape. So you just turn it and it helps to shape all the nesting materials. Now, there's one thing you need to be careful. Sometimes, you know, a hen's laid 4 eggs, but you only see 2. And what I've learned from my experience, that sometimes the eggs end up being under the nesting material. So before you start using something to shape your nesting, always count your eggs and make sure there are no eggs underneath the material. Because in the past, you know, I was not as experienced as I am now. I tend to break an egg or 2. So always double check and say, okay, this hen, she's laid 4 eggs. Make sure there's 4 eggs in there, because if not, you end up breaking the eggs. Okay, now another thing that we do need for the breeding season is to keep records. Now, so with the records, I get my sheets made up from Frank over in New South Wales. So you'll have, like, the cockbird's ring number. Then you'll have the hen's ring number, what colours they are, how many eggs, what date they were laid, and what date they were due to hatch. So you've got that. So then after you've put that down of the cock and hen that you've paired up, then you start putting the details of the chicks. So same thing. So in my case that I've got Gloucesters, I'll put Corona or Consort. I'll put the ring number down and what colours they are. So I do that, and also with keeping the records that throughout the show season, if any of my birds have won any achievements, like could be at a young stock show or an annual show, I'll keep the records of that. So then it helps identify that which birds of mine were champions in that show season, and it will also help me what birds to keep and what birds to pair up. So that's so keeping the records are very important. So another thing I'll mention is part of the records is when you got records and colors such as cinnamon. So it is also very important to keep records of your cinnamon birds, and so your visual cinnamon birds and your cinnamon carriers. So the tricky thing about it is that if you've got a cinnamon carrier, it's not visually cinnamon. So what happens is if you don't keep control of your cinnamon line, the cinnamon line will start to take over and go through all your birds. So, and then that becomes a problem. So keep your cinnamon line separate. Now, if you've got a bird that's not cinnamon, that you want to introduce that to your cinnamon line, just be aware that you can either get cinnamon hens or cinnamon carrying cock birds. So just be careful of that. Okay, now another handy tip for especially the beginner people that are starting out to pair up your birds, you always got to trim around the vents and trim their toenails. I'll show you a little recap of one of my episodes in season 1. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, guys, I'm going to show you how to trim the vent and trim the nails. Now, this is a lovely hen, so I'll show you how it's done. Just blow into it a little bit. And the reason for this is it helps the bird to get fertile, because sometimes some birds are very heavily feathered, as you can see here. There you go. So that's the bit that you don't want to trim off. Okay. Now, to trim the nails, just grab some nail cutters. Don't trim it too far back. Just like that. Gosh, it's a little active, this one. Okay, there's a bit of a long nail here. Bit of trim like that. All right, now I have talked about in season 1 about pairing up your birds. Now I did mention about bonding, so bonding your birds. So sometimes we have extra cock birds, and this is what works for me also. So usually I do have enough cocks for enough hens, but in this case I've got a couple of spare cock birds that I would like to use. So I've got certain pairs that I'm going to keep them as cock and hen as a pair, which I have started to bond my birds up at the moment. And I've got a few pairs that I want to swap around the cock birds. So what I've done there, I've kept the hens separate. So when I do introduce a cockbird for round one, I'll let him do what he needs to do. Then I'll take away the cockbird and I'll leave the hen on her own. Then for round two, I'll introduce another cockbird, and then that cockbird will remain with her to the end of the breeding season. Reason being that if you're going to put more than one cockbird to the one hen, sometimes it can be fatal where the hen won't like the cockbird and they'll tend to fight. And occasionally, you know, you could walk into your bird room, and you could find one of the cockbirds pretty injured. So those are the things to be aware of. Okay, everyone. Now that's what we have time for on the final episode for season 2. Now, I'd like to give a big shout out to Maury Hunt, Bruce Peterson, Sammy Reyes, Michael Pulo, and John Impey, and also David from David's Bird Room. Now, thank you guys for doing an episode with me and you know, and taking up your time for me to come down and to film an episode. Now, I really appreciate it. It's for you guys for giving me the opportunity. It helps support the hobby, and let's hope we can keep the hobby alive for many more years to come. Now, thank you to all the subscribers that have shared, liked, and subscribed. We currently got over 630 odd subscribers at the moment. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate everyone for their time for watching the channel and all the positive feedback that I've had in person and also on the Facebook page. So I really appreciate that, everyone. And so there's a good chance that we will have a season 3 with some more home visits, potentially a road trip interstate. So stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned for all the little updates throughout my breeding season. Now, on this case, I'm ending the season a little bit early as what I did from last year. I just want to focus on my birds, focus on the chicks, and I know I'll be pretty busy in my bird room, so I just want to mainly focus on that. And so on season 3, I'm pretty sure I'll have plenty of different footages that I can put up and some updates, and yeah. So, all right, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my my little update videos. All right, everyone. Have a good one.